Hi, everybody. Welcome to Imperial Pulls. My name is Brian, and I want to thank you all for being here today. We've got a cool, pretty unique episode today, and it's not just me. Don't worry, it's not just me. Today we have a special thing to open, and we have a special guest. So why don't we just get straight to it here? We're gonna go. Oh, that's not it. I pushed the wrong one. There we go.
There we are.
There
Hi,
we
everybody.
are. Hi, everybody. So, of course, we've got on the... I'm trying to look backwards here. On the very left of your screen, we've got Still Joe.
Still Joe.
And special guest, Jason.
I'm not Joe. Yay!
Jason...
Still not Joe.
Jason
Still
needs...
not Joe, yeah.
For many people, Jason needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Jason is a man of many hats. We are situated today at North of Exile Games here in Midland, Ontario, which is a local game store, and Jason is the owner and operator of said store. So that's just one thing that he is. He is also the president and co-owner of Edge of Exile Entertainment, who you might know as the makers of Genesis Battle of Champions.
Yes, sir.
Hooray!
My favorite collectible card game.
And the thing is about that, I'm going to just interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
For a sec. It was your favorite card game years ago.
That's true.
This isn't
long
just a new
before I
thing.
had anything to do with it.
Right. And
That's right.
I think it's important that it's not just like, oh, well, now that it's mine, it's my favorite. No, this is clearly your favorite game for a long time.
And Brian can really back that up because
That's
Brian
right.
actually worked with me at
Mhm.
North of Exile Games when I first learned about the game. About 3 years ago?
Something like that,
Feels
yeah.
like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was always a huge fan of the game. So it's kind of weird to, get to be involved in it.
Yeah. And the third thing I want to introduce you as, and maybe the thing that's maybe not as well known about you, is that you were, at one time, a straight, legit Magic the Gathering tournament judge.
That's
and
right.
you traveled the world officiating tournaments. Is that right?
That's very true. Yes, I was at for 5 years total. I was a Magic judge. For most of that time, I was what was known as a level 2 Magic judge, which means I was certified and qualified to actually work at all the really big, exciting events, which used to be called Grand Prix. Now they're called Magic Fests.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine going to a convention center in a major city, and there's at any different town, it could be 4,000 people playing, 7,000 people. One of the Grand Prix Las Vegas events that I helped judge at, I believe, was the biggest event at the time for North America, and it was like 12,000 people there.
Wow.
So it was literally the size of a small town, all gathered inside one massive convention center, one of the biggest in North
Crazy.
America.
That's-
Everybody there to play Magic.
I'm hearing in the chat that you guys are a bit quiet, probably because this is the microphone.
Okay, we'll speak up.
I will
Should I turn on the
gladly,
iPad Pro microphone, or is that a bad idea?
Why don't we turn it on and see what people say?
We're going to turn on a different microphone,
Yeah.
and this will either fix the problem or make it much, much
Yeah,
worse.
we might get some looping or some delay.
So there we go.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
let's,
actually, I don't see any levels coming out of it, so I don't think it did anything.
Well,
Oh,
ta-da.
okay.
So there we go. So if you guys just speak up.
Yeah, we can do that.
I could totally do that. How's this? Is this better, people?
Yeah, there we
Hey Jay,
go.
can you just be louder? Is that anybody's ever said to you?
Let me ask you a question, Joe. If I talk at this volume, is it going to annoy you?
What?
Is it going to annoy you?
No.
Okay.
I teach. I'm fine with people talking loudly.
Okay, so as long as it doesn't bother Brian or Joe, I will speak loudly.
Okay. Now, the
You
reason...
don't have to be louder.
The reason... I don't have... You're right. I don't have
That's
to be
true.
louder.
They can hear you, they said.
How's it going, YouTube?
Oh,
It's just you and me here.
Oh, Brian, don't talk with the voice. You know
Oh,
it gets
it's
me
the
every
voice.
time. That's why I hired him,
I
3
think-
years ago, he came to a job interview, did that deep, raspy
I'm
voice.
gonna show you the real magic.
I think that voice requires a drink.
Yes,
What do you
let's...
say?
I'm ready to drink.
Yeah.
what do we got tonight here,
Tonight
Joe?
we have Muskoka Brewery Tread Lightly. It is a light lager, proudly and independently crafted in Muskoka.
Once again, this is not an endorsement. We are just enthusiasts.
I am very enthusiastic about opening this.
Cheers, all.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, I have to cheers before.
There we go.
Cheers. That's what the nice people do.
Now, well, we haven't talked about the reason that I wanted to bring up the magic judging aspect
good,
of
by
your
the way.
career. Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah. Is that what are we opening today, Joe?
Well, so I discovered a box, and it had some. You can't be in a room together. This is the problem.
We said nothing. Right, Brian?
Not a darn thing.
Didn't say it. I don't know what.
So
Joe's
I
being
discovered a
so
box
sensitive
of cards
Uh-huh.
Where did you find that box of cards?
in my
Was it,
stuff.
was it in a closet, perhaps?
Was not.
Oh, you didn't have to like go into a closet to find this box?
No.
Okay.
I found a box of cards, and inside said box of cards was a bunch of mid-90s Magic the Gathering. So Brian and I have mentioned it a couple of times when talking about different TCGs and whatever, but I've never actually learned how to play Magic.
Interesting.
In the mid-90s, I thought I liked the art. I thought I'd collect it and get into that, with no interest in learning to play.
Well, did you have friends that were interested in playing? Or
Yeah.
like what? Well, how did you even discover Magic cards if you weren't playing the game?
Well, when Brian and I were younger, we
In the 1920s?
that's right
1930s?
yeah, when they invented paper.
You kids were experimenting with dark magic? Is that where this is going?
That's
That's
what
right.
it is.
Yeah, that's how we got here.
And we went to card stores and we would buy cards and comics and whatever else. And Magic was one of the ones that I bought a pack of.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of, like I said, I like the art, so I bought more and more. But
That's all it took. You
That's
just
all it
happened to randomly buy a pack,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, I like how these look.
yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
really cool.
And so I guess
you
it was
were aware
around,
it was a game, though, right?
yeah. And then friends in high school played it. Actually, one of the guys who comes and plays here at the LGS played Magic.
In the group?
in high school, in the group that played. But I just had no real interest in playing it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, were you not into like fantasy movies and like the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that back then? Or?
Ish. Yeah.
Cardboard Cohort says 90s cards. I just went through my MTG cards from the 90s not long ago.
Very
Nice.
cool.
So here we
We'll
go.
see if there's any that I have that you have as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So
let us know in the chat, Cardboard Cohorts, what was some of the cool cards that you found when you went through your old ones? I'd love
Yeah.
to hear.
what? And so you haven't looked at these in decades?
Safe to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going. Joe is going to look through the box with Jason's help, since Joe admittedly doesn't know that much about Magic, and you presumably do.
I know a bit.
Yeah.
I dabbled from
Yeah,
time to
you're
time.
more. I would say more than the average bear.
Yeah.
So,
Fair, yeah.
so that's what we're going to do here.
So I know there's stuff from Ice Age, Antiquities, 4th edition, revised.
4th edition and revised were some of the sets that I played with when I was in high school, right near the beginning
Yeah.
of Magic the Gathering. So if you have any of those, that'd be fun for me to see, particularly because
Yeah.
those were sets that I actually played with.
Awesome. So there will be some in there. I think. So like I said, we haven't really looked through the box at all. It looks like they are divided by sets. So we might be able to just go through them that way. But what do you say? Let's see what we got.
Let's get started.
All right. I'll just hand some to you, Jay, if you want to kind of flip through them somewhere around there.
There, I'll
and
show you
Brian
where
will-
right about there.
There.
Right over here's the right spot?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
You want-
What do you want me to do here? Do you want me to
You
just start
can,
looking through
yeah,
them,
you
or-
can start looking through, and if there's stuff that's kind of cool, give us some stories or information about the cards, what they would do, or how they get used.
I wonder, would the viewers at home prefer it on the table, or I wonder if they might perhaps
A little bit higher up.
like it if I like hold it a little closer. I'm
A
on
little
the
bit,
delays.
little bit this way.
A little bit this way.
Sorry, the other way.
This way.
The
That
other
way.
this way.
There you go.
That way. That's better?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So looking at these cards, Atakara Unicorn, your typical 2/2 white for 3 mana total. You could tap it to add either a blue or blue in one color. So that's cool. Card that, oh, this is interesting. This is the first thing we've got that's interesting.
Well, that's the first thing that we've got.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
1 for 1.
So the first thing that's interesting is this mana is usable only for cumulative upkeep. Play this ability as an interrupt. So a couple things about that jump out right away. First of all, for anybody who's played Magic in the last, 15 years at least, if not longer, people are going to know that the word interrupt doesn't exist in Magic anymore.
Oh.
Interrupt used to be when you would like stop somebody else who's in the middle of doing something. Am I just...
No, I'm just reading the chat.
You can see it live, though, to make sure I'm lined up okay? Okay, great. So interrupt used to be what they would call cards that you would interrupt other people doing stuff with, which, as we all know now, at least Brian and I know, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the terminology, nowadays they call those instants.
Okay.
Instants are
I've
the
heard the
spell
term.
that you do in response.
Yeah, I'm going to
So-
bring the camera down a bit.
Oh, that's a great
Make it
idea.
a little
If you
easier.
grab that little yellow on the top.
This one?
Yep.
Ah, there we
Oh,
go.
very nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, got a good view of your knuckles there. So now you can come down about
Yeah, you just show me where to hold it.
right about there.
Right about there? Perfect.
Yep, that's
Awesome.
a lot more comfortable for you.
So
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
in
Am I still
response to
good?
that-
Yep.
In response,
In
to
response to
that's
that.
funny because that's what you say when you cast a magic spell to interrupt somebody. In response,
from hanging out here,
Yes.
that I've heard enough kind of Magic lingo and of course Genesis and other TCGs. So there's going to be some stuff probably I'm familiar with in passing, but certainly not to play.
The other thing, so we've talked about Interrupt for a second, which is neat to see that word on a Magic card because it doesn't appear on Magic cards anymore. Another thing I find interesting about this card is it talks about cumulative upkeep. And for those of you who weren't around during the time when they used to use that more often, cumulative upkeep means if you have a certain permanent in play, it could be a creature, an enchantment, whatever, and if it says on it that it has a cumulative upkeep, that means the first time it's your turn again and you want to keep that card in play, you have to pay 1 mana to keep it in play. And then the second time everybody has turns, it gets back to your turn again. Now you'd have to pay 2 of your mana to keep that thing in play, and then 3 and then 4, and it's a terrible tax that winds up making things that are really powerful really expensive to keep after a while.
So to speak in my language that I'm going to understand, with Genesis, it's kind of subtractive resources, right? You start with everything, and you spend them to use them.
Right, and then they're gone.
Magic's the other way.
Magic's the other way. You start with almost no resources, and every time you play land cards in the game, those will give you magic points or resources to spend to pay for all the cool things you
Is
want
that
to
what
do.
those are for?
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of just fillers.
Well,
Land cards, no, that's
they
it's
serve a
like your
purpose?
aura in general.
Okay.
in terms of collecting, they're kind of filler, but in terms of gameplay, they're extremely
Okay.
important.
They sure used to be filler. For many years, basic lands in Magic always looked the same. Just a giant tree, just a giant sun logo, a giant fire logo, whatever. But now, in the last few years, and Brian will remember this from when we were dabbling in Magic a little bit in the last year or two, they've started doing really cool-looking lands where they'll feature artworks based on the themes of whatever cities the story's taking place in, or the worlds. Sometimes the world's a giant jungle, so you'll have like these crazy intertwined brush trees and that. So yeah, nowadays they've found ways to spice up everything and make even the lands not boring anymore, which is good for them.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, we got a lot of cards to get through
I
here.
know,
Why don't
right?
we?
I'm just trying to give you the good
No,
content.
totally,
here.
totally. I just
Oh, interesting thing on this card. Card number 2 mentions snow-covered lands, which is something that only came out in a few sets. So this card, I can see by this little snowflake on it that set would be from Ice Age.
Ice Age, yep. That I do remember.
Which would be the introduction of lands that have snow on top of them. And what wound up happening then in older sets, and they've revisited Snowlands just a couple years ago as well, is there would be creatures that would get power bonuses for every snow-covered permanent you had in play. So you could run normal forests and it wouldn't do anything for you, or you could run snow-covered forests that still don't really do anything for you, but they would power up other cool things. So, and then the neat thing was they only ever printed snow-covered lands during the sets when it was actually relevant and being used. So if you didn't happen to play Magic that year, and 2 years later that set's no longer being printed, you had a really hard time finding snow-covered lands to play with your favorite creature. So, yeah, those were a really cool mechanic that kind of got irritating because they were hard to find.
Cardboard Cohort says, yeah, Magic can really mana cuck you, as I call it.
Yep.
I have played in a lot of tournaments where I drew almost no lands, and it keeps you from being able to do anything. That's why I like Genesis. We start with our resources.
Yeah. It is something that I like about Genesis too.
Yeah.
Again, personal preference, but I love it about the game. Man, you got a lot of
a bunch of those.
boxes. I guess I should put them this way so I'm
Yeah,
not
it doesn't
wrecking your
matter.
order. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Then we got a nice little enchantment.
Just this way a little bit and down. Sorry, down
Down
to you. Yeah, sorry.
My down, not your down.
That's
Sorry.
right.
I apologize. Nice little white enchantment, still from the Ice Age set. Nothing really stands out to me. Moving on. Hey, another one of the same. And then Armor of Faith. I remember this. This is a cool little enchantment you could put on a creature, and it only costs 1 white mana to pay for it, which is great. But then once it's on it, target creature gets a bonus +1/+1. So +1 for all the damage it does to other people, and +1 to the health that it has, which makes it harder to kill. And then you can pay as many white as you want to give it bonus health until the end of turn as well, to raise its toughness up and make it even harder to kill. So if you had a lot of lands out, these are great cards to keep your most powerful creatures in the game alive and kicking. A blue card. You played blue? Oh, wait, you didn't play
I
it.
didn't play it.
He just likes the color blue.
He's just a fan. Argelot? It's hard to read the font there. Argelot's set, I think. Here's another card that had a cumulative upkeep, which means the longer it stays in play, you got to pay more blues every turn to keep it going. But when this was attached to a creature, you could pay 1 of any color you felt like to give that creature flying. And Brian, I'm sure you remember from some games, sometimes if you have like a big 5/5 creature out, it's not much of a threat if there's lots of people.
Yeah.
But if you can give it flying, all of a sudden it flies over everybody and blasts someone in the face.
And if you don't have range or anything, then you're screwed.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Or reach is what they call it. In
Oh,
Magic. Range
did I,
is a
what did I
Genesis.
say? Did I say?
Range.
Yeah, I usually use the Genesis.
Oh, I use the
term,
Genesis
range.
term. Yeah,
But yeah, reach for Magic.
So I'm bilingual, you know. I slip, especially swear words. You know.
A very plain-looking Balduvian barbarian. Balduvian barbarian. Ooh, I promise I'm just an enthusiast, but I'm not that enthusiastic. It's a plain Jane 3/2 with a whole bunch of storyline written on it, so that's kind of cool. A couple of those. And then the Balduvian Bears, which are known to be close friends with the Barbarians.
But a terrible football team.
But a terrible football team.
Mm-hmm.
The Balduvian Bears. Haven't won a Super Bowl in years. Poor guys.
No.
Brian, what was the team from Melmac? Do you remember?
Is that where Mork and Mindy are from?
No, it's
No,
where,
that is
it's
where
where,
Alf is
it's where
from.
Alf
That's
is
where Alf
from.
is.
I
know
don't
it's one of
remember.
those old references.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever knew their sports team.
Because they used to play Booyah baseball.
Booyah baseball. Yes, that sounds familiar.
Uh-huh.
God, that's such a dumb show.
Hey, Willie, I'm gonna eat your cat.
Yeah.
It's your turn. Go ahead.
So I'm not going to eat anybody's cat. Barb's Sextant is the first artifact we see tonight. Artifacts are cards in Magic that are designed to be kind of useful tools that any color deck can use. That's why artifacts are generally cards that you can pay with any color. They want you to be able to run them into any deck to help it and kind of keep the game going. This one here, you used to sacrifice it to get 1 mana, 1 magic point, of any color to use. But you can only use it as an interrupt, which again, there's that word, doesn't exist anymore. Means you could only do it to surprise someone else. And then you would draw a card at the beginning of your next turn. So we got some of those. Ooh, some of those. Back to white with Battle Cry. Untap all white creatures you control, this being an instant. So we're past the interrupt word and back into instant that we still use to this day. Untap all the white creatures you control, and any creature that blocks this turn gets a health boost. So this would be a card that you would want to use when you're being attacked to surprise people. And untap all your creatures after they've already sent them running at you, and they thought it was safe. You untap all your white creatures, they all get a health boost, and all of a sudden those poor fools that were running at you to hurt you are all going to fall to their demise. And that's the idea there. Blessed what?
We haven't come to it yet, but I do remember, because we will get to it probably in this set if they're organized. In Ice Age, I remember pulling a Jester's Cap. And at the time, I remember that being just a really valuable card. I think now it likely is not, because I think the value of a lot of this stuff.
It's probably been reprinted a few times.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see if it's still in this box, or if it got nerfed somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And he threw away all the black lotuses because they were they were the wrong color.
I thought they were black lettuces.
Oh yeah.
Mysteries.
Don't worry, if I see any really
Awful.
cheap, terrible, valuable cards,
Yeah.
I'll let Joe know that we should just dispose of them for him, Brian, to save
Yeah.
him the trouble.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anything like really cheap,
You just
Will
put them in my car.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what? I appreciate having friends like you. Help
Yeah.
me get rid of the crap cards.
we just want to help you out, buddy. We don't want you wasting your time lugging stuff home. That's
We are
worthless.
good friends.
Yeah, for sure. And then afterwards, we can drink some blessed wine with you.
Perfect.
Yeah, celebrate there. The purging of your unneeded cards. Oh, here's a card that I think got played today on Midland. It's Blizzard.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of snow up here.
Hello,
today.
Winterama.
Ah, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Winterama must
Perfect
have
for
paid
Winterama
somebody.
weekend.
Winterama paid somebody off
Yeah.
to get all that snow shipped up at the last second.
Faux show.
Interesting card because it's Blizzard's talking about snow and things like that. Usually things like that feel more like a blue card because blue generally deals with water. But this being a green card makes it stand out a little bit. The other thing, again, is it's got a cumulative upkeep of every turn. You got to pay an extra 2. So that gets expensive really fast. And you can't cast Blizzard if you don't have any snow-covered lands. So that's one of the things that I talked about earlier, that you
Yep.
could run normal lands or snow-covered lands. But sometimes you needed snow-covered to do cool things or get cool benefits.
Can you build a deck that is mixed with snow-covered and plain lands?
Yep, you can. In fact, in formats where they still allow you to use old cards, like Modern and Legacy and things like that, you can mix and match all you want, but you do have to record them as different cards when you're writing in your deck list, because in professional tournaments they make you tell them ahead of time what you're running,
Okay.
so you can't cheat. So yeah, I've seen penalties where people have ran snow-covered lands and forgot that they're not just normal forests. They didn't write snow forest. They wrote forest, and
So they can't use them.
penalized.
well, they would get a penalty for it. Like you would probably, I think, depending on when it happened, the rules for at least a while used to be you get a game loss for an incorrect deck,
Oof.
and then you'd have to like
That's big in
change
terms
the
of
paperwork. So yeah, blue scare. The white card looks like it should be blue. Looking at that artwork, but
I like
what do
that
know?
one. That's a cool looking card.
Enchant creature. The creature gets +2/+2 as long as the opponent. Oh, that's why. As long as the opponent is playing any blue, your creature gets a boost, and it can't be blocked by blue stuff. So that's pretty cool. And that's only for one. So blue is a very powerful color that tends to irritate a lot of people when they play against it. So cards like this are always popular. It's that magical time again, Madtown Hobby.
Yeah, that's right.
We are discussing some old, cool Ice Age and other era cards that Still Joe found in a closet somewhere. I think is the story that we're going.
Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got the Bone Shaman. 4 mana to pay for it. That's pretty pricey. 3/3. The interesting thing is it has an ability you can pay for, but it costs black specifically on a red card. So that means this card was intended to only be run in decks that are red and black color, naturally. So very cool. I always love that. Cards that are custom made for specific decks.
Madtown says cards from when I was in elementary school.
Yeah, us too.
Oh yeah,
Elementary
totally
school.
elementary.
Joe
Yeah.
told me he was in college when these came out.
Read the damn card.
Brine Shaman. Here we got our first black creature. The interesting thing about this is a cleric. And generally nowadays you would only find clerics usually in white or a white-black mix usually. So that's kind of cool. Sacrifice a creature to give target creature +2/+2 to the end of turn. So if you tap this, turn it sideways, and kill something else you own, you make something else that you own that you didn't just kill bigger and stronger, which is kind of cool. It's a little 1/1 for 2. Not bad, not bad.
Just on a side note here, how would you consider the state of these cards, the condition, being that they're quite old and have been in Joe's closet for a long time? They're in pretty good condition,
I
I'd
would say
say.
they're in quite good condition. Most of them, the corners are great. You'll see here there's a little rubbing on this one corner, but most of the corners of the cards have been great. The backs of the cards seem to be in very good condition as well.
Except for the design.
Same old ugly Magic card back.
But when I tilt it to get the light reflecting off it, I'm not really seeing any scratches on it.
Yeah.
So, like, you could tell that they've been undisturbed in their storage for a long time.
And never played, like I said, right? They were collected and put away.
Oh, that's the big
So,
thing. Yeah, if they were never played,
Yeah.
that explains why they're in such good shape.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm going to guess this one's pronounced brown oofy, but I'm not sure. That's a weird spelling, right? So, summon an oofy.
TCG
Summon
player
a
says
Newfie? I
near
almost
mint
said
pack
Newfie.
near mint pack fresh,
There
according
you go.
to Madtown Hobby. TCG player.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, they're in good shape.
Yeah.
Got a little 1/1 for 1 with a cool ability to counter an artifact ability if you pay some mana and tap it. Burnt Offering. I like the art on that. That's
I was gonna
pretty
say
cool. Yeah.
that looks like a later Pink Floyd album.
Sacrifice a creature to add that creature's casting cost, which is the part in the top corner, and any combination of red and or black mana to your mana pool. So I know you weren't playing Magic back in the day, but if you were, it looks like your collection would have had some good cards to build a red and black deck together, because we're seeing some cool ones. Oh, and once again, this is an interrupt.
All right.
Because you would sacrifice that creature in response to somebody else doing something.
Well, I have to say, I'm glad that Jason's here because I would have already gone through the whole box going, cool picture, it's red. Cool picture, cool picture, cool picture.
Right.
This one here, a Chub Toad.
Don't.
No comments about the Chub Toad, Joe? Look at you.
Oh, look, a beer.
His lips bleeding from biting his tongue so hard. That's funny.
It's the rub toad.
Chub Toad, which, yeah, okay, sure. Gets +2/+2 until the end of turn when blocking or when is blocked. And then there's a little cute little quote on it. Chub Toad at the door. Run away quick or you'll run no more. From a traditional children's rhyme in the land of Magic the Gathering. They used to like to put these cute little flavor texts on some cards just to give people a
Yeah, they still have that. And
Yep, you're right, they do. Chub Toad. Your collections are looking a little chubby here, buddy.
hey-oh!
Hey-o. Circle of Protection Black. This is an interesting card because Circle of Protection has some cards I remember. Oh, sorry. What are we laughing at, Brian? Did I do something?
I'm laughing at the picture. I'm sorry. I'm immature. I look like she's looking in a toilet and she's about to barf. She's just like, oh my god, no! I wasn't going to say it until you asked.
I want to
So.
know if there's a camera inside the toilet. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, anyway, I'm sorry. I
We're
digress.
never going to get through this box.
So Circle of Protection, they did one of these for every color. There was a Circle of Protection for white, blue, black, red, and green. I remember these from when I was playing when I was in high school, when the first few sets came out. I thought they were super overpowered, but also I was young and didn't really understand the intricacies of the game. But the idea is once you get a Circle of Protection out for whatever color, whenever anybody else's thing is going to hit you, like say I had Circle of Protection black out and you had a giant 7/6 flying black creature, I could pay 1 mana of any color to prevent all the damage that one specific black creature was about to do to me. And I thought, this is so overpowered. I just need to run all 5 Circle Protections in my deck so that whenever anything attacks me, I can just pay for it and I can just stop this and that and this and that. But I didn't understand in my youth about you only have so much points you can spend. And if you're using all your points to try and stop people from hitting you, you're not using your points to bring out new creatures to hit them back. So it took me a good year. I think it was all a grade 10 it took me to finally clue in. Having 5 different circles of protection in your deck is terrible because you're wasting all your time and resources just to stop people from hitting you and not actually bringing out your own threats. So young high school me needs to learn not to play these. But
We'll tell them when we see them.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. And tell him not to date Maya either. That was I was a girl in high school. It didn't work out well. So.
Burn, Maya.
If you're watching the stream, we're sorry.
Yeah, Maya, if you're watching this, don't.
I take it back when I said I love you in grade 10, Maya. I didn't mean it.
Oh, man. There's a lot to unpack here.
She broke my heart.
Oh.
And here's another one. Circle Protection Green. Same idea. You can pay 1 of any color to prevent all damage from a single green source that's about to hit you. So, and those would work against green spells, green creatures, green anything. So if somebody, especially with red, if somebody was going to hit lightning bolt or something that would normally hit your life, you could pay 1 to prevent it.
Valentine's week
There
content.
you go.
Says Mad Town.
That girl Maya broke my heart.
Oh, my
She's
God.
very pretty though, and that's why she broke my heart. Circle of Protection Red. Oh, you had them on a row here. Circle of green, white, red. Here we go. Here's the white one. How cool that looks.
That's cool.
Yeah, white. I need more cards.
Oh, you need more cards. Let's see.
I bet you we're going to start off with a Circle of Protection. Let's find out. And we did. We started off with another.
Did you want to put
Circle
these
of
in the
Protection.
box or?
Put them in order.
I'm just
Okay.
going to need you, Brian, to eye it up for me and tell me where I
Yep.
need it to be.
Toward you a little bit.
Like that?
No, sorry, toward me. That's on me. That's on me.
Okay.
It's like trying to pat your head and rub your belly while looking in a mirror.
I understand.
So yes, you should be okay there.
Am I? Okay, I'm just waiting. Yeah, okay. I am
There you
okay.
go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay. All right. So Circle of Protection White again, and another
I've got
one.
lots of those.
Yeah. You were
Protected.
well protected in high school. Good for you. Or college. Clairvoyance. Blue. Instant. Like a target player's hand, draw a card at the beginning of the next upkeep. So that's a cool card. You get to have a sneak peek at what people are going to use against you later. Cloak of Confusion. I like the old style art. They don't make them like that anymore. It's cool. Back when everything was mostly drawn by hand or painted, right? No CGI art, no Corel draw and all that cool stuff. Enchant a creature, big long text box. I'm not going to even bother reading it.
Because you have so many opportunities.
I have so many opportunities. Cooperation. That's what the theme of today's episode is.
Look at the
cooperation.
Face of that cloaked dude. Giant teeth and glowy eyes.
Man, did that ever take me a minute to figure out what I was looking at? I had to take my glasses off to figure out what I was looking at here. That artwork is interesting.
Yeah, it is actually pretty cool.
Look at the smile on the cloak.
Yeah,
guy.
that's what I mean. It's just it's creepy.
What do you think? Do you think he's like on a first date with the new girl in high school? Maybe that's his Maya.
I think
He's on a first date and he's got this big smile and
I think they're planning to fight the Care Bears.
fight the Care Bears. Yeah, that sounds right. With the power of cooperation.
Yep.
Oh, this here is an iconic card. Dark Ritual is a card that's been around since I think might have even been in the very first set ever. Dark Ritual, you pay 1 black mana, and now it's called an instant, but it was called an interrupt back then, and it would give you 3 black mana to spend. So on turn 1, you can play that and cast anything that costs 3 right off the bat and get ahead of people. God help you, if you had 2 of them in your hand, you could wind up with 5 mana to spend total, because you'd have to spend 1 of the 3 to bring out the next one. Right? And then you could do like a giant threat and quite possibly win the game almost right away. So those are a card that have been reprinted many, many times, and they've had many different artworks over the years.
I was just looking it up here, and there's like all these versions, reprintings of that card.
Yeah.
So it's very popular.
Yeah, it's a card that's been played and reprinted over and over again over the years. It's a pretty iconic card, to be honest. I remember Dark Ritual when I was a kid, and that one I thought was incredible, and that one I was actually right. That one is a pretty incredible card, which is why they don't print it all the time, but it's very cool. Death Ward, regenerate target creature. Regenerate something you won't see in Magic much anymore either. Regenerate is something that in the old days, when Brian and our creatures hit each other, and if mine was about to die, I could do something to regenerate it, which means it would go to the graveyard, but then kind of instantly come back to life. Really, it wouldn't even go to the graveyard. It would prevent the damage from killing you and moving to the graveyard. Nowadays, they've just kind of replaced regenerate with things like indestructible, where it just can't die no matter what. Mm-hmm. But it's a cool thing. It's a mechanic that they used to have back in the day that they kind of phased out. This card here, just look how, like, sometimes they had to really shrink the text down if they wanted, like, a lot of words on there. It's something I can actually relate to a little bit in another game that I'm a fan of.
And so far, these are all Ice Age, right?
These are all Ice Age.
That's
cards,
right.
Yeah.
We had a question here in the chat. Are these all Ice Age cards? I said, yep.
Yeah.
So far, there will be more different sets, but so far, we're looking at Ice Age.
In fact, this many more
Aha.
are going to be Ice Age.
Cool.
Not all of them, because the one there
Oh, the
is
one
not.
in the back. A couple in the back are not.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Demonic Consultation. Name a card. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library, which is their word for deck, your deck of cards. And reveal the next card after... Remove the top 6, and then reveal the next one after that. If it's the card that you named, which would be crazy odds if it was, you get to put it in your hand. And if not, you remove that card that you revealed from the game, and then keep revealing cards until you find the named card. That sounds pretty crazy. I'm sure there were some decks where people would build like 1 or 2 different types of cards total to like hit it big. But you'd have to put a lot of work to make that card playable, I think. Dire Wolves gains banding. That's another thing that does not exist in Magic anymore. Banding was this kind of weird thing where if you had 2 or 3 creatures on the battlefield, you could make them all kind of combine or band together, and then they could collectively block a creature. And when Brian's creature is hitting my banded mega 3-in-1 kind of thing, I would get to choose where Brian's damage would go into what part of the band. So if I had a 2-2, a 3-3, and a 1-1, and you were doing 4 damage, I could be like, okay, I'm going to have you do damage to the 3. The 3 will die. You could do damage to the 2. It won't be enough to kill it. And my 1 lives. Normally, the attacker gets to choose where all the damage goes. But if you were doing banding as your creatures, you could choose where the opponent's damage goes. That was a cool thing.
That's interesting.
But it wasn't super fun to play with. And a lot of people had a lot of trouble understanding how banding works.
I get
what
that.
I've heard. So they kind of phased it out because it just, every time new players had to experience banding, they got confused and not an optimal experience. Disenchant, this is another card that's been reprinted many times because it's a very useful tool. It's an instant that lets you blow up an artifact or enchantment. So if somebody plays an artifact or enchantment that's really annoying you, this is the kind of card you're hoping to find.
You need to move your hand close to me a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Thanks.
I apologize, Joe. That's the
Yes,
director's job, the
that's
producer's job over there.
Well, my assistant director is off on a coffee break or something. I don't know.
So yeah, Dreams of the Dead, blue card, enchantment, not that interesting. Moving on. Earthlore, this card I like. This is an enchantment that goes specifically onto a land. And when Earthlore comes into play, you choose a land that you control, and then you can pay 0, which means basically it's free. And the land that this is enchanted to, tap land that this is enchanted to give target blocking creature +1/+2. Okay, cool. So basically, you put this on a land, and then this lets you tap the land to give a blocking creature a power and toughness boost. Which is kind of cool. I dig it. I like the art. Very classic vibe.
It's crayons, apparently.
Yep. That's a neat art style. The Elvish Healer. It's a cleric. You can tap to prevent some damage. It's 1/2, costs 3. Moving on. Another cumulative upkeep here on the Energy Storm. Damage dealt by instants. Oh, this is interesting. Instants, interrupts, and sorcery. So it referenced both types, instants and interrupts. Probably came out, I guess this came out around the time that they were switching between the two maybe, and they felt the need to. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think Ice Age was 94.
Yeah, not long after it first started coming out. That card, that's a more realistic face than a lot of the other arts we've
Yeah.
seen. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I felt that way about the woman in the toilet one.
Yeah.
Very realistic art style.
Oops. Okay. Errant Minion. Interesting art there. Enchant a creature during target creature's controller's upkeep. This deals 2 damage to them. So this was the kind of card you would put on somebody else's creature, and every turn that it didn't die for any reason, it winds up kind of hitting its own player and controller. So you put the blue being the color that loves to make other people not have fun. Blue, put that on other people and be like, would you like to keep your creature alive, or are you going to let it die sooner or later? So a couple of those. Oh, another one of those. Essence Filter. We got a sorcery that destroys all enchantments or destroys all non-white enchantments. That's pretty cool. I love that. That's a card I would have played back in the day.
All non-white enchantments.
Yeah, so if you're playing a green and white deck, you could keep some white enchantments out on purpose that you know this wouldn't kill, and just blow up everything else.
Just kind of sounds a little racist, that's all. Sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
Fanatical Fever. Brian is currently suffering from a fanatical fever, which is why he's saying these comments.
The only prescription
That's right.
is whatever this is. Tread lightly.
I need a little medication too. It's, I gotta say, as I'll stop when I get to any cards that are interesting of note.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, it is neat seeing cards from this era because it's been since like I was probably in high school since I've seen these. When I got into playing Magic, I was in high school, grade 9, 10, 11.
So Mad Town's just telling Brian to tread lightly.
And that's the name of the beer.
When I got into Magic in grade 9, 10, and 11, I had a few friends that were playing it. There was a couple of convenience stores in Midland that were selling packs at the time. And I loved it. And then when I graduated high school, most of the friends I used to hang out with in high school, they all moved away to, do post-secondary and stuff like that. So I didn't have anyone to play with for years. And I assumed, incorrectly, that Magic probably had faded away to nothing. Because that's kind of what happens with most things when you're a kid, right? And then I think it was 10 years later, maybe 12, 15 years later, I was driving to a movie theater down in Barrie, and I drove by a store and I saw a giant flashing neon Magic the Gathering sign. I'm like, that game still exists? And I remember I was on a date with somebody, not Maya, different girl. I was on a date with somebody, giant growth. Good timing when I'm talking about being on a date with someone. Anyways, I was on a date with somebody, and we saw the sign, we stopped at the store, and I was shocked that Magic the Gathering still existed. I was so excited. I wound up buying a starter deck and whatever else they had at the time. And it was just so cool to see a game that I had fun in high school with. Like 15 years later, was still going.
Yeah.
And about 2 or 3 years later after that would be when a store opened in Elmville. Jack's on Queen. Shout out to Jack's on Queen in Elmville, Ontario. They're about 20 minutes away from where we are.
Represent.
Great people, great store, great time every time.
Yeah, man.
And they opened up about a year or two later after I'd seen this store in Barrie. And then I was so excited because they were going to host Magic tournaments. And then I got sucked back into it. And I've loved it ever since, which is great. I still love Magic. I love the fact that you can go to a local game store and hang out and play either Magic or Genesis or whatever, Pokemon, whatever card game you feel like. And you can meet new friends and come together having fun. And like, I love the whole thing. There's so many friends I've met when I used to play at Jackson Queen that I've been friends with for years. There's so many friends I met when people have come here to our store in Midland and played here. I mean, I had to hire Brian to get him to be my friend. I had to pay him money to be my friend. But it was the best investment I ever got because then I got to be friends with Still Joe as well. And now here I am guesting on their famous live stream. And it's pretty exciting to be here with celebrities in my little humble store. I did stop scrolling through the cards for a second because I think this card's kind of neat. Halls of Mist is a land, and I love the look of these old style cards that weren't basics. It's really neat. Cumulative upkeep of 1, so again there would be a tax, so you'd have to keep paying every turn after turn. But no creature can attack if it attacked during its controller's last turn. So the Halls of Mist would slow down people attacking you, and I would imagine anyone running this card in their deck would probably have ran it if they didn't plan on having a lot of creatures in their deck and they wanted to do maybe a lot of direct damage spells to hit people. And then something like this would be great. You slow down all the creatures, you get in your damage with your fire spells or whatnot, and win the game. So, and then heal. How am I here for my game, Brian? Am I good?
This is the most I've ever learned about Magic in my whole life.
Well, isn't that what you wanted
That's
to hear?
exactly why we want.
That's exactly right.
Heal, prevent 1 damage to any creature or player, draw a card at the beginning of your next turn's upkeep. I don't know if you've noticed at all, but there have been a lot of cards tonight already revealed that all said, do something interesting, and then draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. That must have been a theme during this Ice Age set, where there's lots of cards in all the different colors you can play, and you get your cool little benefit, and then specifically it says the next turn's upkeep. So this is an instant, which means you could cast it on your own turn or anyone else's at the table. But because it says you draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, if I use it on my turn, then when you start your next turn, I'd actually draw a card during your turn because of this, because that would be the next turn's upkeep, not my next turn.
Okay.
Upkeep. So interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you may pull another instant that you could use in that round.
Exactly right. Yeah. So there's some heal spells, another heal
To your
spell.
point about learning about different card games and meeting people, that's what Brian and I have been having fun doing, is opening up all these different CCGs and talking to people who are interested in the different ones, and just kind of getting to know what the other cards are, like the other games that are out there.
It's funny because a lot of the different card games all have different cultures.
Yeah.
And although there's a lot of overlap, every game is a little bit different in terms of the way people interact with it. And it's kind of I didn't expect that, and it's really interesting.
I always find it interesting when I'm talking to people about card games, because like for me, my favorite card game is Genesis, and then I love Magic and Pokemon, and I've never played Flesh and Blood yet, but I'm meaning to learn that soon. But that's my order of games and what the ones I love. But I could be playing Genesis here on a Wednesday night, and the other people that are here, some of them, their favorite game is Magic, and Genesis is like their second favorite. And then there's other ones. It's interesting to talk to people because I haven't seen, like, it doesn't seem to be consistent where certain personality types or certain kinds of people like one game more than another. But it's always fascinating to hear, like, my favorite game is your second favorite, and you like this other one more because of this other reason, but I like this one because of this reason.
Yeah.
And it's neat, though, because it's a beautiful thing with collectible card games that everybody can love the same game for different reasons, because all these games are divided into different colors and play styles. You can play totally different ways.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So for Joe's benefit, I'll talk for a second. That was one of the things I always loved as a selling feature when Magic used to be basically the only big name game that you could play in stores for a while. When I first opened, that was definitely the biggest one. And I would explain to people the beautiful thing about Magic, and now Genesis and other games, is with them divided into different colors of cards, they base the colors around real life personality types, which I'm not sure if Joe has ever given this much thought. But people who love to be really aggressive and throw caution to the wind, they naturally get drawn to red because that's the play style. You just want to win as fast as you can. Oh, am I wrong?
There you go. Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Whereas with blue cards, it's very much a defensive, controlling style, and it's also a little bit of the disturber of the peace kind of vibe, where you're like, I just want to annoy you and throw you off your game plan. That's the blue play style.
Hey Lee, if you ever want to play Magic, I'll be sure to play a blue deck against
Oh,
you.
he'd totally be blue.
Here's a card I remember playing a lot. Incinerate is an instant spell that lets you deal 3 damage to a creature or a player. And the thing that I liked about this card in particular was, remember how I talked about Regenerate earlier, and you could pay something to stop your creature from dying? This spell specifically says nothing that got damaged by Incinerate can regenerate this turn.
Okay.
So they used to have certain cards that would play around it, because Regenerate was a really big thing that got played a lot back then. So, and then green cards in general appeal to people who love synergy, because you build decks with, oh, here's the card you were talking about that you're waiting to see.
Oh yeah, the Jester's Cap.
The Jester's Cap.
Yeah, I
me
remember
check
that one
this
being
out.
hard to find, and
I'm not actually really familiar with this one, so for this one, since Joe has happy memories of it, I'm going to take a moment to read it. But tell me, what did you like about it? Was it the artwork? Because the artwork's pretty sick.
the artwork is what I liked about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, about the whole set of Magic.
Okay.
Some obviously better than others.
Yeah.
But there was Jester's Cap, and there's one other card that you went through earlier that had similar, well, the same character.
Oh, I like this card. This is a cool card, Joe. It costs you 4 to bring it out, and again, it's an artifact, which means you could run it in any color deck you wanted. And then once you've paid and you brought it out, later on a future turn, because usually 4 would be probably all you had to spend, you can pay 2 mana at any time you want, and turn this card sideways and then sacrifice it. And what it would let you do is you could pick a player. Say you're playing against Brian. You'd say, Brian, I'm going to pick you, and I'm going to look through your entire library, your whole deck of cards.
Wow.
Cards that I'm not supposed to know you have in there yet. I'm going to look through your whole deck. I'm going to figure out what you're running. I'm going to figure out what cards I'm the most afraid of. And then I'm going to take any 3 of those cards and remove them from the game.
Wow.
So it costs 6 total, which is expensive. But I love this card because, one, the knowledge you would have gotten of getting to look through a player's whole deck and see everything you're going to have to deal with later, and then picking 3 cards that you really hate and you want to just get rid of them outright, that's good.
Wow.
So that would be why that card was valuable back in the day.
Yeah.
For sure, because that's a powerful effect. And look, you had that. Oh, and we
Just
got another
one of those,
artifact right after it. A jeweled amulet, another cool looking artifact. I like the artwork on this card. So, and what are we going to take a look at next, Joe?
There's some more Ice Age.
All right.
And that concludes all the Ice Age once that pile's done.
All right, Brian.
Let's see.
Cheeto fingers for maximum effectiveness. I would never do that to Joe's cards.
Toward me just a little?
Like that?
You or the other you?
Yes, that's good. Cheeto fingers.
That's funny. Juniper Order Druid. All right, little 1/1 for 3, but this is a powerful card because it lets you untap a target land. So you could use a land by turning it sideways, get the point from it. You could turn this sideways to untap that land and then reuse it again. And you had to use it as an interrupt. But that would work because if you're in the middle of casting a spell, you could kind of interrupt yourself to do that. So that's pretty cool. Carplusian Giant, a big old snowy looking dude. That's cool. A Ranger, a white creature. I'm going to skip past this because I saw something cool coming up in a minute. When you play this creature, you have to sacrifice a creature, but this cool guy has, you can pay 1 to regenerate it. So it's a little 3/1, does some good damage, dies pretty easy, but yet it doesn't die that easy. Because
So for those of us who don't play Magic,
yeah.
3 is the health, 1 is the damage they do, or is it vice versa?
The opposite. The first
Okay.
number is how much you hit someone else with.
Okay.
So it does 3 damage, but it only takes 1 to knock it out. But
Got
of
it.
course, it's hard to kill it because you could regenerate it.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. Nice little card there. Here's one I thought would be cool to look at. This is what they used to make all the multicolor cards look like. Nowadays, they'll actually be green and white or whatnot. But back in the old days, they gave any card that had more than 1 color this interesting kind of gold, bronzy looking border, which again is something that they don't use anymore. But they looked cool. It was a very distinct style to the cards back then. We've got some white creatures with a bunch of text. Not going to read that. Got a little Sky Knight bird.
See,
I like
that's
that.
the kind of artwork I really liked when
Yeah.
it came to checking these out. And then you've got your land in the background, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this card actually is kind of cool because it does cost 3 to bring it out, but despite the fact of being a 1/1, it has first strike, which means if it can kill something with its damage, the other thing will die, and this won't even take damage. It'll just kill it super fast. Also, it had flying, so it can fly over a bunch of things. Also, it has banding, so if you pair it up with a couple other creatures, you could determine where let the other creatures take the damage instead of this guy. So having like several keywords or abilities on a card is generally really powerful. So that's pretty cool. That card would have been really fun to have several of them in a deck out at once, which clearly you could have had at least 2. They would be powerful together. So that's really cool. Got a blue sorcerer, summon a wizard. I dig it. Kravikan Fetish. Man, Joe. Remember when you were young and you had a Kravikan fetish?
I do.
Yeah.
Times.
You can't do that nowadays.
I know. I miss my Kravikan fetish. It's pretty cool. Lava Burst. Here's another interesting card because this one is the first one I've seen tonight that has X in the amount you have to pay for it. So what they did is they wanted to give Magic cards a variable cost. You could spend as much mana as you want to power it up. In this case, I'd have to pay 1 red no matter what, and then X could be any number I want. If I had 2 more lands, I could spend 2. If I had 10 more lands, I could spend 10 casting this. And then Lava Burst will deal whatever number I paid worth of damage to a target creature or player. And any effects that would prevent the damage or move it to someone else can't be used to protect that creature. So this would be a really powerful card, especially because it lets you target a player. If I got you down to 9 health left and I had 10 lands out, I could theoretically cast this to try and hit you for those 9 life. And because of this whole paragraph here that says you can't prevent it and you can't redirect it, the only way you'd probably live is if you had some magical way to gain life instantly before this hit you. Otherwise, that's almost a sure win. So that's a really cool card, Lava Burst. I'm digging it.
Talking about how much life somebody has, how do you... Because I'm gathering there's no champion.
Gathering. Do you hear that? Magic the Gathering. Hey-o.
I'm putting together that there's no there are no champions the same way that Genesis is played.
Right.
So you're hitting Brian for 9.
Yeah.
What are you hitting?
So in Magic the Gathering, instead of having a card in play that represents you, you outside of the game are the player with the health total. When a game of Magic starts, he has 20 life, I have 20 life.
Okay.
And every time he sends a creature running at me and I can't block it ahead of time, it hits me directly and I lose that much life.
Okay.
Same with magic spells. If I had a fireball spell or something like that, I could ignore creatures on the table and just cast that magic spell over the table and hit him directly.
So you wouldn't have any special abilities the way that a champion would in Genesis.
No, it's more like being half of a champion. You get the health of a
Right.
champion, but none of the cool custom
So
abilities.
all the ability would come from the deck you built.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. See, now you know how to play
This is why I have you guys
Genesis
here.
and Magic.
Hopefully, I'm better at Magic.
Is that what Brian said? Oh, Brian.
I didn't say that.
I said that.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Hopefully I'm better
I
at
thought you were
Magic.
saying Brian said
No.
that. I was like, Brian, that's not nice.
Oh.
Snow-covered swamp block. Here's a pretty neat ability. If I'm playing swamps and they're not snow-covered, nothing happens. But if I happen to be playing cards that are swamps and they're specifically snow-covered swamps, if Brian had this creature, his creature would be able to walk over my snow-covered swamps and sneak past all my creatures and hit me. I wouldn't be able to block him. That's what snow-covered swamp block means. So in those sets when you were encouraged to want to play a bunch of snow-covered lands because you get cool bonuses and benefits, this is the kind of thing that would balance it out, where somebody else might play these to take advantage of you playing those snow-covered lands, and then they get to like kind of sneak past your defenses. So that's pretty cool. I like that card. Target creature
Another fun
gains Swamp Walk, which is the normal Swamp Walk. So you could pay 1 and attach this to any creature you control. And if Brian had any type of swamp, that creature would be able to walk through the swamp and hit directly
Right.
and not be blocked. So yeah, card with a lot of text. Although the image is kind of neat because the image has some weird writing hidden on it, which is neat. So, but the card has way too much writing for me to read it. So we're moving on from that one. How am I for my aim, Brian? Still good?
So good. Pretty
Awesome.
good.
Limdell's cohort. I don't know who Limdell is, but he needs to like get some better health benefits for his employees because those faces look like they've been hungry for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need to get some sun.
Limdell's Hex. This is an interesting art. I'm not sure what Limdell's hexing here, but okay. Moving on. A Malashite Talisman. Cool artifact that you could run in any color deck. Untap an ability, but use this, or untap anything you want for 3 mana. Use this ability only when a green spell has been successfully cast, and only once for each green spell that has been cast. So that would be a card you would run if you're using only green cards in your deck and you want to take advantage of the fact that you're always casting green stuff. Melting. All snow-covered lands become non-snow-covered lands of the same type. Ooh. That would be irritating if I built a whole deck around snow-covered lands and you play this. Oh.
That seems very specific, though. Like,
Yes.
you'd have to be playing the right person with the right deck. Otherwise, it.
What could you do
know.
to stop that?
Well, we've seen white cards earlier today that can destroy enchantments.
Oh, okay.
So if
That's
they played
right,
this,
it's
I would
enchantment.
play
Okay.
a card that would destroy the enchantment.
Got it.
So the interesting thing, to Brian's point that he just said, is cards like this is a very specific card from a set that involved a lot of snow-covered lands. And the idea that all games and game designers have to think about, and this is something I think about a bit, and specifically our design team thinks about with Genesis, is a good set, a well-designed set that'll be really fun to play. It's going to offer players lots of fun opportunities to do unique, cool attacks and things like that they haven't done in previous sets with a new theme, a new mechanic. But you also always need to put the right amount of answers to those new threats and attacks in there too, because you can't just let people run roughshod over other
Right.
people. So every time you're printing a card and it's going to do something amazing, somewhere in the world there needs to be another card that you printed that can deal with that. So because it's always a fun game within a game of building your deck ahead of time and being like, what responses do I think people are going to bring this week when I go to the store? And then I want to pick the threats that I could put in my deck that I think they won't be ready for this week. Maybe next week they'll come back and they'll be ready for it. But next week I'll bring a different deck with a new strategy.
Because people love to say, in response.
In response to
Yes.
that, yes.
Yeah.
So that is the fun of the game for me, for sure, is trying to figure out all the time what kind of things have I not done before that they won't be expecting, and then also at the same time, what have people done to me before that I am expecting and I want to be ready to respond to. So
Like the Uno reverse card.
check out this Mind Warp. Look at that artwork. Isn't
That is
trippy?
cool.
Speaking of Uno, did you hear recently they put out an official statement saying you cannot stack your 2s and 5s? Like, you pick up 2 and then you put another pick up 2 and then you put another pick up 2, and people have to pick up 6.
Right.
You can't do that.
No?
Oh,
Nope.
in the official rules?
In the
No?
official rules, they've released an official statement. You can't stack your plus 2s.
Well, so the house rule you're talking about, I guess Somebody used to play pickup 2,
I
and
would
then
play
if I
pickup
played
2 in
one right
response to
after,
that.
I wouldn't have to pick up from his if I played a pickup
Right.
2. Oh, I never
And then
played
you'd
with
have to
those
pick up
rules.
4.
And back and
I'd still
forth.
pick up my 2.
Oh, you would pick up your
Yeah,
2.
but then
Oh,
I'd
okay.
play on top of that, and they'd have to pick up 4. They'd pick up their 4,
Oh,
and
it
then
would
they'd play another
stack.
2, and then I'd now have to pick up 6.
Oh, have you played with that house rule? Because I never played it that way.
That's how I've always played Uno.
I don't play enough Uno to know, although I have played recently,
Yeah.
but we didn't do that, so.
Well, you're not allowed.
I think you're just playing with the wrong rules, Joe. I think
Maybe.
that's what, that update was for you specifically. They were like,
It was
Joe,
emailed to me.
Yeah.
Still
Did
no.
did the press release start with, "Hey, assholes. Listen, you can't do that.
That's your co-host talking.
Yeah,
to
That's
you.
why you don't have any friends."
Hey, assholes at Imperial polls.
Madtown Hobby says they don't know how the game really got played out here in the streets.
Yeah, man.
Apparently he signed with you. so that's
Street
cool.
Uno.
Street Uno.
That's how I got this scar.
Some
Morphine.
nice demonic looking art there. Morphine. Again, another card with Swamp Walk. So if you happen to be playing swamps, I could just sneak right through on them.
Could you walk in a snow-covered swamp?
Yeah, you should be able to because it would
Look at
count
that
for
guy.
any swamp.
Okay.
Look at that flipping guy.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Mountain Walk, same idea, but for mountains.
I love that they have all these crazy, fantastic creatures, and then one card is
Goat.
just like goat, I guess.
I think that's what keeps the game grounded a bit, though.
Yeah.
There has to be something
Oh,
you
totally.
can relate to in it. It can't be all just dragons and unicorns. You need the occasional dog to go with the werewolves. And
Yeah, that's
you know what I
true.
mean?
That's true.
If only we knew somebody who liked werewolves.
Somebody out there like werewolves? I couldn't imagine who it could be.
Nature's Lore. Search your library for any forest and put it directly into play. This does not count as your 1 land per turn limit. Then shuffle your deck after. That's actually a really good card. That would have been great. Green is all about getting extra lands out quick and speeding up the game. So, oh man, they just don't make cool artworks like that anymore. That's neat. One thing about classic Magic is they did not shy away from the demonic looking arts for the black colored cards.
Yeah.
They really play. Oh, that's funny. Look
Orc.
the orc
Picking
is
his nose.
picking his nose. That's funny.
I mean, the other one is wearing a colander on his head, so.
And then we got an orcish farmer. Then we got an orcish healer. You could make a hold. And yet, they're not orcs. They're clerics.
Ah.
What the heck? And look, there's a red ability, a red and black ability, and a red and green ability. Like, that's interesting. Order of the Sacred Torch. Hi, I'd like to order a Sacred Torch, please. Don't panic. Hey, don't panic.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
That's the end of Ice Age.
All right.
Is that Ice Age 2?
Did we do this?
Oh,
already?
did you not do that, Pop?
I don't know. Let's see.
Whoops.
Oh, hey, here we go. Here's one for Brian. Brian, buddy, I got you. You got it.
Okay.
No, I'm going to do a different card, I'm going to do it like this. Help me get it lined up first. Am I good or am I not good?
Right about there.
Right about here?
Yeah.
Here you go, Brian. Tinder wall. For the
Well,
wall that has everything. Tinder.
and somehow nothing.
And somehow- Let's see if there's anything else in here.
So that must be a basic land.
Yeah, basic. Oh, here's one I actually remember playing a lot when I was in high school, just randomly. Woolly Mammoth. That's a classic card. Am I still good, Brian, for Maine?
Toward me a little bit. There you go.
All right. Woolly Mammoth. I'm only pointing out this card because I remember playing it a lot when I was in high school. It's cool. You summon a mammoth. The mammoth gains trample as long as you have any snow-covered lands. Trample, for Joe's benefit, is if I send my 3/2 guy who does 3 damage to attack Brian, and Brian blocks with little tiny 1/1, normally that 1/1 would absorb all the damage when it dies. But if you have trample, your guy gets to put any extra damage and trample it on through
Oh,
and
I
still
dig
hit the
that.
player.
Yeah, trample is very satisfying when it goes off.
Yeah. So I remember playing those a lot, and then after the woolly mammoths, we got some woolly spiders, which I wasn't aware that spiders can be woolly. Interesting. So, oh, look at that art. Word of Undoing.
Oh my god.
That's like if Wolverine died, got zombified, and came back from the dead. That's like Wolverine as a zombie right there. That's cool.
He's just like, he's so mad he's barfing lightning.
Pestilent Rats, Persist, Power Sink, Prismatic Ward. Nothing too crazy going on here. A card where you could just add Regenerate to whatever creature you want. Got a Saber-Toothed Tiger. Here, kitty.
That goes with the last comment from Madtown Hobby here. He said that's like putting in a chicken card. I think we were talking about the goat.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Genesis Raging Rooster is one of my favorite cards.
Oh, I love that.
I love it so much.
Snow Devil. Scary stuff. Snowfall. A Simulacrum. Songs of the Damned. These are the songs that Joe sings in the shower every morning, friends. Songs of the Damned.
And they're really
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows,
Hand
everything.
Soul Kiss, Stone Rain. This is a card you could play to ruin somebody's day because this card, it lets you destroy somebody's land. And if you're stuck in only 1 or 2 lands early on and somebody blows one up, you're having a very bad day at that point. So nobody likes it when you blow up their land. You will make enemies in Magic if you blow up people's land.
It
Yeah,
is.
I remember the Thought Leech being a really cool looking card.
Oh my God.
Check out the art on that. Eh?
What?
That's like somebody watched the Alien movie the night before and was like, how can I do this without getting copyright infringement? Well, instead of hugging the face, I'll just put it on top of the scalp.
Remember as a kid you used to do that thing where you were a brain sucker on
Yeah,
somebody's head and
starvation.
it died of starvation. It's kind of like that.
All right, we are through Ice Age.
Hey,
Yay!
Kimberly Kurrick. The Kurricks are watching.
Yay!
Emma says, hi, Joe. She's learning MTG too.
Amazing.
Very cool.
Amazing.
Terrific.
Well,
So what do you want to do there, Joe?
we've gotten through the Ice Age stuff.
Yeah?
Do you feel like you learned anything, Joe?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I learned that I have no idea how to play Magic the Gathering. But at least I know a few more things about the card. Do you have somewhere to be, Brian?
I got nothing but time.
I'm happy to keep going for even just one more set of cards.
Okay.
We'll see how
And then
that
and would that be around half?
That's about halfway through the box.
And we could do the other half another day
We
if that's
schedule another,
if you're down for that.
I'm
We'll
good.
we'll bring a beer and whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. Totally cool.
That works.
I'm
Yep.
an enthusiast.
All right.
So this one has some, I believe, antiquities, just some black border, and then a bunch of the other different ones.
Excuse me.
All right. Oh, well, we got a cool one right off the bat. All right. We could actually look through this pile for a second here before I put it up, just because if there's 3 that go together, and I see 2 of them right away. I'm just gonna check to see if he has the third.
Hey, Spider-Man.
Not right off the bat, but I see a lot of cards I used to play here. So this is gonna be fun for me to revisit. All right off the bat, I'm gonna get my hand where Brian tells me. Right there. How's it?
Yeah.
Good?
Toward me slightly. There you go.
That's good.
Yep.
Here is a very cool card, Urza's Mine. Behind it is a second very cool card called Urza's Power Plant.
Oh.
There is a third one as well. And the idea was each one of these cards would give you 1 colorless mana normally. But if you have a copy of the Mine out, and a copy of the Tower, and a copy of Urza's Power Plant, then all of a sudden, once you have all 3 of them out, this one gives you 2 mana. This one gives you 2 mana. And then the Power Plant will give you 3 mana. So all of a sudden, these 3 lands that should have only given you 3 mana total would give you 7 mana. So and they only give you colorless, but these are designed for artifact decks, because sometimes artifacts can be creatures as well, where you don't need any colors to bring them out. Mm-hmm. And people would love playing 4 of each of these cards in their deck and just try and get to 7 mana as quick as they can, because then you're casting on like turn 3 or turn 4.
Yeah, for sure.
Massive things. Mm-hmm. So they were really fun, and they've reprinted these several times.
Yes, I
with
recognize
several
that
different
card
arts.
in particular. And Urza is a popular character in a lot of sets.
That's right. Urza is a playable card as well. That's been a character.
Yeah,
still
I have some
so.
Urza's Saga and like Saga cards, and like Urza's a thing. Mm-hmm. So
that's pretty cool. That you have some of these. That's cool. A little blast from the past, and then we'll just go like this. I'm gonna skip ahead a little because I saw some cool cards. Active Volcano. If you're playing against a blue player, this is great. You could destroy. You could return an island back to their hand, set them back a turn, or destroy anything blue that you wanted, which is really neat. Blood of the Martyr. I don't really know that card, but check out this one. This looks cool. Chromium. Summon an Elder Dragon Legend. So this is right before, I think, they started calling them legendary creatures. I think this was like the precursor to making legendary an official thing. So this creature here
it's
costs
7/7.
Yeah, but it costs 2 black,
yeah.
and 2 blue, and 2 white, and 2 of any color that you want. So that's 8 lands you need to have out.
Just push toward you just a little bit so we can see those colors. There we go.
There we go. So yeah, so it's
Wow.
got flying, it's got rampage, which I'll be honest, I don't remember what rampage did. That's an ability from way back then, like a one-time thing. During your upkeep, you'd have to pay these 3 or bury, which means kill the chromium. So not only did it cost you 8 to bring it out, but it was a flying 7/7 with some other cool bonus. But you'd have to keep paying 3 every turn or let it die. So that's a powerful game-changing card right there. And then we go to a cocoon, some Guambage Witches, Cyclone, Define Offering, Emerald Dragonfly. I like the art of that.
That's
That
a
was
cool one.
I remember playing that card as a kid. That's cool.
What set is this again? Sorry.
Is this Antiquities?
I think that's Antiquities. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that's the symbol for Antiquities.
So we're on to antiquities
Yeah.
here. Toward me half a smidge. There you go.
Felden's Cane, Flash Flood, shout out to the Currix, shout out to Madtown Hobby, shout out to Brian Pitts. Wait, he's here, but he's also in the chat.
You can shout out to me here.
Hi, Brian.
Shout out to Cardboard Cohorts, everybody watching. It's a good time to be hanging out with the Imperial pulls and check out what we're pulling. We got a Goblin Shrine, some Indestructible Aura, Keepers of the Faith, the Puppet Master. That's a cool looking card.
Nice.
That's pretty sick. Remove Soul.
Whoa.
Oh my God. What?
Wow, eh?
I've never seen that one. That's really cool.
That's a cool card.
Like most of these cards I haven't seen since the mid-90s.
Uh-huh.
So it's really neat to see.
The Rune Sword, got a couple of those here. Scavenger Folk. Look at the eyes on it.
Nice.
That's some wild eyes on that card.
Whoa, it's like that National Geographic cover, but ugly.
Savitri Skarzam. It's a legend, so it's right before they made them legendary. Tormod's Crypt. This is a card I played many, many times. It's been reprinted many, many times. You could sacrifice this card to remove all the cards from somebody's graveyard. Usually you would do that to somebody else's. A lot of times in black decks, you'll be playing creatures that can come back from the dead over and over again, and it gets frustrating for the other player. I just killed that guy. Now you're bringing it back again. So Tormod's Crypt is great for dealing with decks like that, where you just want to get the creatures permanently gone from that graveyard.
So similarly, I guess Encased in Stone does something like that. It doesn't kill them permanently, but it does, like with Genesis.
Yeah,
It'll at least hold on to them a little bit, and you couldn't.
it'll
do
tie
anything with
them up for a while.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't really done anything, I think, in Genesis yet where things come back from the dead, but nothing is forbidden. Who knows what will happen in the future.
Who knows what will come of it?
Here's a card that I've played many times as well. I've played against many times. Fog. For 1 little green mana, you can stop all the damage that creatures would do.
Huh.
So that's cool, because if you only have 2 or 3 creatures out and somebody sends all 20 others to wipe you out, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to block any of it. You're going to kill me anyway.
And that's an instant.
And then you surprise them with the instant and say, no, you know what? In second thought, I'm just going to not die.
It only costs 1? That's actually seems
Yeah.
a little...
Does that stop
It
all the
is.
damage
It's
Seems
you
pretty
do?
cheap for that.
It's a good card.
Oh, so no creatures deal damage, so yourself as well. Then you couldn't do any damage either.
Right, but in Magic, only one person's attacking at a time. So if he sends all his creatures to attack me, I'll just not block anything, let it all come at me, and then I'll just hit Fog, so I don't take
see.
any damage.
Okay.
And then when it's my turn next,
Yep.
his creatures are all turned sideways because he attacked with them. He can't
Yeah.
use them to block, and then I'll swing back.
Zach says fogs are amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Zachary, how's it going?
There's Zach approved.
Thanks
That's
for joining
pretty
us
cool.
today.
Gaseous form. That's when Joe has too much chili. This is gaseous form.
Honest truth.
Yeah.
Giant growth. That's what Joe wishes.
I shared a hotel with you before, I know.
Giant strength. Bloom. That's what Brian felt when he shared that hotel with you. Was
I don't know why I invite you guys on my show.
Well, if there's one, if there's one that's, if there's a sleep apnea card, then that's my revenge on you. So
Grape Shot Catapult. Grey Ogre. Greed. This is a card I've played a few times too. Greed. It's an enchantment, so you bring it out for 4, and then once it's out, you can pay 1 black and pay 2 life to draw a card. Effects that prevent or redirect damage can't be used to counter the loss of life, so you can't abuse it. But a lot of times, black has ways of draining life from your opponents, Maybe you're using vampires or something that drain life for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a bunch of life, this is a card that lets you use that extra life you have to turn it into useful cards to try and win the game. Green Ward, you put this on a creature, and then all of a sudden nothing with green can block that creature anymore, which is kind of cool. Healing Salve. Helm of Chatsuck. Oh, Chatsuck. I knew him well.
Oh, I recognize that one. Yep.
Yeah, Hell from Beyond.
Well, that's a cool card.
This is another one where you could pay however much you want for X, and then your creature will get that much of a bonus to its damage that it does. So the great thing about this being an instant is you could attack somebody, and if they choose not to block, because maybe you're attacking with a little tiny 1/1, you're like, that's fine, I'll take the 1 damage. You'd be like, no, surprise! Now that you've chosen not to stop it, I'm going to pay 9 and turn that 1/1 into a 10/1 and hit you for 10.
Is there something that they could respond as an instant to that?
Theoretically, they might have a kill spell to kill it in response as well. But this is the kind of thing that you're forcing them to have an instant speed response, or they just die.
Right.
Every step along the way, it gets more and more unlikely. So that's good.
You remember those Urza's Mines and power plants that we saw a few minutes ago? You remember how I talked about how those 3 lands, if you had all 3 out, you could get 7 mana, which is great for artifact decks, because artifact decks don't need any colors, and you could get giant colorless creatures out. This is the one card that makes those players scream. Because
And of course it's blue.
For 2 mana, Hurkyl's Recall makes everybody pick up all the artifacts that are in play. Oh no, all artifacts in play owned by target player. So only one player has to pick up every artifact they own and put them back in their hand. And if your whole deck is nothing but artifacts, you're mad. Oh, you're so mad when that happens. So that's a cool card. Ironclaw Orcs, the Iron Star, jump. Might as well jump. Jump.
Jump.
That's right.
Sorry, I thought that was.
You're good. You're good.
I didn't know you guys.
That was the response I was hoping for.
I didn't know you guys could hear that. Sorry.
Life tap. Gain 1 life for each forest controlled by a target opponent that becomes tapped. That's cool. So if you're playing against a green player, it makes them hate having to use any other lands to do anything because you're just gaining life. This is one of the cards I remember the most from when I played in high school.
Oh.
Llanowar Elves. It's a little 1/1 that costs 1 to bring out, but you could tap it and turn it sideways and it gives you a bonus green. Because generally, green is all about getting extra points and bringing out creatures faster than other people. And that's kind of an iconic card. That was one of the first ones that did that, and I got a lot of happy memories of Llanowar Elves. I saw them a lot in high school when I played.
That's cool.
So that's pretty cool to see that card. Brings back happy memories. Lost Soul, another creature that has Swamp Walk that can sneak through swamps if you're playing any. Marsh Viper. Here's what the old basic lands looked like back in the day.
Yeah, man.
Pretty cool.
That's why I commented earlier. I thought they were just like filler cards. I didn't know they were actually the important pieces.
They're important, but because they're so common in terms of collecting, they're garbage almost.
Yeah, they're kind of boring, but they're also like the gasoline in the car. You can build the deck, the high-powered deck, but if you don't have gasoline to make it work, it won't do anything. So yeah. Which is why I think it's really cool they eventually started making good-looking lands that were interesting.
And then you kind of roll up with a deck that has like a bunch of cool lands in it, and
and people are jealous.
It's sort of like when you play D&D and you have like cool dice. It doesn't matter what the dice look like, but it kind of does socially, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. We got some cool lands over the especially I would say over the last 4 or 5 years. They probably really upped the
really
land game. They know that now people want that. So, like, I opened those Doctor Who Magic the other day, and the lands have the TARDIS on. So it'll be like an island, but the island has a little TARDIS on it, and like you don't have to play that in a Doctor Who deck. You can play it anywhere. Yeah. So you're playing your cool medieval fantasy whatever, and then you got like a TARDIS in it. And, like, it's cool.
Old Swamp. Here's a really cool card. This is a very iconic card. People played it tons throughout the history of the game. Swords to Plowshares.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the most powerful removal cards in the game, meaning it's one of the most powerful ways to kill your opponent's creatures.
Toward you a half smidge? There you go.
So Swords to Plowshares is powerful because it doesn't actually have to kill a creature. What it does instead is it exiles it or just removes it from the game without even killing it. The drawback is whatever creature you exile, that player, the one who controls it, gains life back equal to its power. But if Brian brings out a giant 7/7 flyer that I have no way to stop and it's going to kill me, I will gladly let him gain 7 life to stop me from taking 7 damage every single turn. And for just 1 point at instant speed, I don't even have to do it right away. I could wait till he's attacking me with that creature and leave only 1 land up. I could use all the rest of my points on my turn, leave 1 little planes up. Brian attacks thinking he's about to win the game, and I was like, no, but you can have a little bit of life, Brian. Like, these are really powerful.
Yeah.
They're not valuable because they printed him so much over the years. Like, it's a kind of a staple in older sets, but it's a great iconic card that has seen tons of play. Great card.
Very first Magic pack I ever opened had one of those, and it was
nice.
and it was like a full art, whatever, and I was like, that's cool. Everybody's like, no, that's really cool. It was my first pack.
You're jaded already.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a card that Genesis fans will find interesting because it's called Tsunami.
Right.
We know Tsunami in our game. In Tsunami and Magic, it's a green card that'll blow up all the islands. So if you're playing against a blue player, this is the card blue hates more than anything else. Because for 4 mana, a green person could just blow up all your land and basically lock you out of the game. So that's really cool. Tunnel. For 1, you could bury a target wall or destroy a wall. That's kind of clever because in real life you'd tunnel under a wall to get past it, so it kind of makes sense. Clever theme, good pun. I like it. I give it a 5 out of 7. Twiddle. Twiddle-dee-dee, twiddle-dee-dum. I'll let you, the viewers at home, decide who's D and who's dumb. Unholy Strength. Target creature gets +2/+1.
Oh, Brian's making faces.
Is he? Is it because he's got an unstable mutation going on? Is that what's going on here?
Would you rather be Twiddle-dee-dee or Tweedledee-dum? If you had to pick. Or who would win in a fight? Tweedledee-dee or...
Don't put me through that again. For those of you who don't know, Brian had written a short film, what are we, 20 years ago?
Something like that.
And who would win in a fight was Batman or James Bond.
Yeah.
And it took us on some adventures.
Yeah.
There were
I gotta
shoes
dig
that
that
were
up.
stolen.
I had to take it down on YouTube because we used...
Give me some more cards. These last few were not exciting.
Is that it for...
Or is that it? Is that the end of the show?
That's up to you guys.
That's it?
Whatever you think. I can't see what's left.
Well, we've got about half a box.
Oh, well, maybe that's all you get for tonight, folks.
Yeah, maybe... Well, that would be a good show for the next time.
Yeah.
We could take the table camera off so that they don't just look at...
Yeah, I'm going to...
I'm sure they'd rather see Brian's beautiful face and Joe's face up
Where are
close.
we here?
than-
There we go. Hey,
Hey,
everybody.
There
welcome
we
back,
are.
everybody.
Well, thanks, Jason,
Jason,
for...
thank you very much. That was
That was,
My pleasure.
like, very informative because... Like, I know Joe didn't know much about Magic, but I know a little bit about Magic, but I don't know that much. And it's always... I find it always fascinating to listen to someone talk about something who is an expert. Even if it doesn't matter on the topic. And then in this case, it's like something I am interested in. So it's even better.
I feel like I should apologize, though, because
Why?
Well, it's over an hour-long stream, and I feel like I kind of did all the talking. And
Well, that's why we had
Well,
you.
that's why we
people
asked you
tuned
to
in
be here.
See you guys.
No,
you
no,
know?
so-
You're a special guest. That's why you're here.
Yeah,
I'm special.
you are special.
Yeah, I'm special.
No, for all the hats you wear, it was kind of like it made sense.
Yeah.
Of rather than Brian and I just flick through cards and go cool hat, cool shirt, cool whatever.
Yeah.
You at least can give us some insight as to what cards do, what they're for.
Yeah.
And as we said, as somebody who knows nothing about Magic but happens to own a bunch of it, I wanted to kind of learn more about it. And who better than you? So,
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope
Absolutely.
the viewers at home enjoyed
It seems like it. We've still got lots of people in the chat. So
Yeah,
thanks everybody
that's
for
great.
watching.
hopefully you'll
We
come and
didn't.
join us again for the second half of the box.
Well, I kind of have
Well,
to
yeah,
come
we-
join again because this is where I work.
We didn't really know how long it was going to take to do. So we hadn't done it before. So I guess we'll do a second half. If you like the first half, just wait for the second half.
Give us a few weeks.
Mate, we didn't get a Black Lotus, but maybe in the second half.
Right.
And
Brian and I will let Joe know it's totally worthless. and
yeah.
we'll dispose of
We'll
it for him.
keep it. We'll share it. We'll rip it in half. You get one half. I get the other half.
Sure, that'd be great.
And so I don't know. We just decided we're going to do another episode of this. So we don't know when it's going to be yet, but it'll be soon. So check out if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can do that. We
click
also
that bell, right?
Where
click
else-
that
Where
bell.
else should they go?
Ring the bell.
They should also go to North of Exile Games.
That's right.
which has a Facebook page and a website and all that fun stuff. Genesis Battle of Champions is if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you no doubt know what that is already. But if you don't, it is a very fun tactical collectible card game that Jason here is the president and co-owner of. So definitely check that out if you haven't. Also, so and you can find us on Facebook. Just look up for Imperial Pulls, and we'll let people know when the next episode of this is going to be when we do.
Yeah, also on Discord. We're on Discord at Imperial Pulls.
Oh, of course, yes. Check us out on Discord. I'm a bit older than Joe, so I don't know how to use Discord. So you'll be chatting with Joe here, the youngin.
I guess that answers it. I'm Tweedledee, he's Tweedledum, doesn't it?
That's pretty much what I figured. So anyway, once again, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks again, Jason, for being here.
Cheers
Lahaim.
for that. Jason's not taking part.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, we got
and there's a question in the chat that we
Are you
should
supposed
answer.
to check the chat?
Imperial Pulls on the Exile stream tomorrow, reviewing Genesis cards. I don't think so.
Yeah, normally that might have been possible, but tomorrow I'm actually be doing a remote location live stream. I'm going to be at a relative's house in Toronto because on Tuesday morning, the morning after our live stream tomorrow night, I'm going to be going to the airport and leaving the country for a few days. It turns out, what's the funniest joke I could make? Somebody
court
wants
ordered,
money,
isn't it?
somebody's trying to break my legs. I don't know.
Yeah, he's going into exile.
I'll be. Oh, I love that.
South of exile.
Great. I'll be south of exile for a few days. So it'll be a normal live stream tomorrow night, except I won't actually be located in Midland. I'll be doing my part of the live stream from Toronto.
I'll be in the store, though. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. You did.
Yeah, you're not supposed to tell me that because I won't be here.
Don't worry, I'm the one with the key. So
That's true. That's true. I trust Brian.
from the frozen yogurt mafia guy
Yeah, that's right.
coming for him. That's funny.
I've made Dairy Queen mad lately with my high quality ice cream I'm selling. They've come to get me.
The Dairy Queen can eat shit. All right, and that's a great way to end the show.
That's the best way to end this.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you
Good night, all.
next time.
He's still Joe.
Still Joe.
Still Joe.
Yeah. Still not Joe.
He's Brian, right? Yeah, I'm still not Joe.
No.
I'm okay with that, though.
He's probably ended the stream already.
He's
We're just-
probably.
yeah.
No,
No.
he's just going to let us talk all day long.